And welcome to a new episode of the Rebel Radio Podcast, the only podcast that rebels like a radio. I don't know. I was just going for something there. Just don't look at me like it was a terrible joke long. I know it was a terrible joke. But the Rebel Radio Podcast.com, where you can find all of our episodes, all the apps we're on. You can even listen to us on YouTube, that nifty creative thing that has taken over the world. I don't think there's any
brain rot generator.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I find myself guilty of watching a lot of YouTube, and I never did until like the last year, man. It's just like you find, if you know where to look, you can find very creative people and very creative things. But there's a lot of trash on it too. Don't get me wrong.
I can't stand the ones where there's a video game commentary type video game channel, and the guy talks like he's talking to 2-year-olds or something, like he's talking really loud voice,
Sunday.
exaggerated.
Yeah, and then all the AI generated stuff on it now too, with the AI voices is kind of annoying.
Oh, I hate those too. With the
if you can find the right creators of stuff you're into, you can find some good stuff. But
a massacre.
Right.
One of the OGs.
But yeah, man. But you can listen to the show on YouTube, and if I really had time and wanted to, I could even download this video every week and put it up there. But fuck that, that's a lot of work. And plus, every now and then we get kids coming in the cameras or wives or whatever. So so it's just easier not to. Although I do have the video saved to the 10th anniversary show. Maybe one day I'll release that to YouTube so people can see our faces. If I get around to it. But how are you guys? Good week?
It's been all right.
Yeah. It feels like one of those pedestrian weeks. Like it just sort of happened and that's it. Nothing really special. It was just a standard work week. And but it's that time of the year. It's like nothing on TV really. No sports going on. Just
nothing
wrestling.
On TV.
Well, politics going crazy.
No, I know. There's always stuff on TV now. But you know what I mean? Like when I say nothing on TV, I mean like there's no sports. It's that in-between time.
Oh, yeah.
Only the NBA is going and we don't really watch hockey here. Football's kind of over, waiting for baseball to start, things like that. And but there is wrestling going. That's always going year round.
Yeah.
And I'd be remiss not to say, I mean, to me, it's big news and long. I mean, John Cena turned heel. I mean, for anyone you don't have to be into wrestling to understand how big this was. Because if you turn on a news station this week, this thing made news everywhere. I mean, the WWE made national news this week for this happening on a show. And that was pretty cool to see and shocking. I think it's remarkable the amount of videos out there of kids crying, though. They're very upset and, throwing their toys down and they're throwing their toys and crying and visibly just upset, man. Cena upset a lot of children this week. And hopefully their parents to explain to him that's just a storyline and he's playing a character. He's still a good person. but it was remarkably shocking as a fan as I was watching it unfold there. And I was like, wow, this is really happening. I was like, holy shit. And
those acting lessons came in handy for him. That switch, that was pretty good.
I mean, I did not see it coming. I really didn't. And when it happened, I was like, man, wow, this is happening. And I was kind of upset that my boy CM Punk had lost. And I was like, God dang it, Punk lost again. And then all of a sudden that happened. It was just like, holy shit. But it's going to make WrestleMania quite exciting. So, but 23 years as a babyface of the company. Babyface is what they call the good guy for people that don't know. And was not expected, but hey, it makes for great storytelling.
What was my response when you texted that?
You were like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Even you were shocked.
Yeah.
And,
I got to see clips of this. So yeah, surely enough, they started showing the clips.
Oh yeah. You couldn't miss it. I mean, you turned on Twitter, Instagram, it was everywhere. I mean,
Daredevil came out this week.
Yeah, I know. I haven't started it yet. I want to.
Let me know if there's any moping and crying.
I will start it this week. I'm sure.
If there's no moping and crying about being a hero, then I'll give it a go.
I've heard good things. I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah.
And I think my oldest Michael wants to watch it with me, even though he hasn't seen the first 3 seasons. From what I understand, like it does a pretty good job of catching people up. That I think that you have to. You're going to show do a show like that has been what 3 or 4 years since season 3 came out, I believe. I mean, I don't think you can expect people to catch up right where it left off. I think you probably have to recap it and kind of, somewhat give it a fresh start in a way, I would imagine. And I've heard it does a good job of that.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to get into it. I mean, yeah, I didn't watch much this week. I guess we can start with that. I did try, man. I started watching The Lord of the Rings, The War of Rohirrim. Man, it's kind of boring.
What? Really?
I couldn't get into it, man. I'll probably go back and finish it, but I'm just like, first off, the animation style. It's done. They made this because New Line simply made this because they had to put something on screen to keep the rights to Lord of the Rings. Otherwise, MGM was standing over their heads trying to buy the rights since Amazon has the rights to the TV show.
MGM is still a thing.
Yeah. Well, MGM is owned by Amazon. Basically,
Oh.
Amazon MGM was they wanted the Lord of the Rings rights. So New Line Cinema, Warner Brothers, basically, nope, we're going to make this animated film to keep the rights. And so the animation's done a little, I don't want to say cheaply, but it just like the character designs, a lot of characters look the same. So I'm sitting there watching, I'm trying to keep like, who's this guy? Who's this guy? I don't know. I got about 30, 40 minutes into it. I probably will finish it, but I just wasn't like, I didn't love it, man. And maybe it's because it's a different story. It's not the Lord of the Rings that we know, which is some of my things I had with Rings of Power too. I was like, I just didn't care about the characters. I wasn't as invested as I was in the films that we had 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what it was.
Rings
But
of Power was trash.
Yeah.
I heard it got better. I heard like the last 2 or 3 episodes of the first season made up for it. And I heard the second season is pretty good. So
it went from garble to watchable.
Yeah. I thought the first couple episodes were good. Then like the third and fourth kind of lost me, and I was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I probably will finish War of the Rohirrim. I just didn't grasp me was all.
Mm-hmm.
It was okay. Other than that, I first time I got in a game in a while, man. They ran RoboCop Rogue City for $8.99 on PlayStation Plus, which was dirt cheap for a PlayStation 5 game.
Yeah.
And so I got into that, man. I've been playing it. It is really good.
I heard it's a really good RoboCop game.
Yeah, it's a really good.
It's an RPG game, right?
It's kind of an RPG / action game, yeah, where
Mm-hmm.
you have skills and you build up your RoboCop character and things like that.
Drop it.
And yeah, it has that dark humor. Like Murphy will drop these lines that are supposed to be like funny. Like you go into this one warehouse and the guy's like, do you need backup? There's a lot of gangsters in here. And he's like, no, but I've got a lot of bullets, just like dark humor like that. And Peter Weller
voiced by him. Yeah.
Yes, Peter Weller comes back and does a voice.
Yeah.
And, I'm enjoying it so far, man. I just got it a couple days ago, but that's all I really played the last couple of days, and really for $9, well worth it. And then was strangely out of nowhere, they announced this game came out in like October of 2023, so almost like 18 months old, and they just announced a DLC, which is very odd for a game that's a year and a half to just suddenly have a DLC coming out.
It takes a while.
Yeah, but it's really cool, man. I dig it, man. For $9, I'm definitely get $9 worth of entertainment out of it.
Dead or alive, you're coming with me.
I always check sales, and it was always $29.99. I was like, man, I want that, but I don't want to pay $30 for it. Now all of a sudden I saw it was $9. Like that was a no doubt. Like I'm fucking buying this. And,
Mark, I'd buy that for $1.
That's right. For $9.
I had to say it.
But so yeah, RoboCop Rogue City, man. I dig it, man. I recommend it.
Let me see if it's on sale on Steam.
But Matt Long, you watch anything this week?
I beat my meat. No, I'm joking.
Well, no, you're not. You probably did. But
yeah. Okay. No, I beat the story mode of Monster Hunter.
Nice.
But that's not the end of the game because now the high ranking stuff starts, because story mode is considered tutorial. So it took 20 hours for me to get through it, but the story was dumb, but it was watchable. But Monster Hunter is a really fun game, and if if Matt or Mark, if you guys ever pick it up, if it's on sale or whatever, we could play cross-platform. I could play on PC. Mark could play on this PS5. Matt could play on this Xbox. We could play it, hunt monsters together. So, really cool game. I highly recommend it. There's a weapon somewhere in there for you guys. I'm sure Matt will pick the minigun, as always.
Dude, yes.
But only
He's got
only
a damn minigun.
only players get made fun of for playing ranged weapons. It's like, oh, you want to play a baby gun? You want to play your baby game? You shoot monsters from afar. You don't want to get in a fight and slash him in the face with a sword, or poke him with a spear or something like that. You want to play from afar? No. Let's see. But I know, no, actually, guns are really fun to play in that game if you don't feel like
getting up close and personal.
Getting up close, or especially they're flying around. It's like, the heck with this. I'm going to get the gun and shoot it down or something like that.
Sometimes it's easier.
Yeah.
Some games
I've been just playing Monster Hunter. I've been looking forward to that game all month. So highly recommend it. It's very
There's a few games in that series, isn't there? 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah, Monster Hunter World and Monster Hunter Rise. So yeah. They're all fun games. That's it for me. Go ahead, Matt.
Yep. I checked out Daredevil Born Again. Watched the first 2 episodes that were released. I don't get the 77% audience score or critic score, whatever the score was. Versus
probably
like
Disney Plus haters.
Rotten Tomatoes sucks anyway.
Yeah. I liked it. I felt like it was a return to what we had seen before, especially the first episode. It starts off with action, and I want to say they released the fight between Poindexter and Daredevil early, at least a small little clip where Poindexter's throwing knives at Daredevil, and no, I like it. Del Florio returns. Foggy Nelson and Penny returns, but yeah, I don't see any problems with the film. I liked it.
I have a question.
Episodes. Sorry,
about Daredevil from what you've seen so far.
Yeah,
is it the first episode or so? Is it about Matt crying about having superpowers and then being a vigilante and having an existential crisis? Is he like feeling tortured again about it, and if not, is Foggy bitching at him about being a hero or being a vigilante? And if not, is Karen crying about it, about Daredevil being a vigilante?
Karen's definitely got some reserves about Matt Murdock.
Yeah.
And then for himself, he does have a little bit of an existential crisis, but it seems like that only lasts for maybe like half of the most of the first episode and most of the second episode, and then it looks like he's back in it. So they didn't really take a whole lot of time with him in that slump.
Yeah.
But his lawyer portrayal, that's in there, and that's really good. So I like it.
Does it feel more connected to the MCU, or does it still feel like a separate? Hey, this is the Netflix corner.
They're trying to connect it. I can tell.
Yeah, okay.
They do bring in another superhero that is not part of the MCU currently, but it seems like it is trying to broaden itself. But that being said, it still feels like it's part of its own thing, its own little universe. But yeah, so far so good. I like it.
Check your place.
Do I need to watch season 3 to know what's going on?
Yeah. You need to know what happened at the end of season 3. That's for sure.
I'll
Probably
just
watch
read the
it.
spoiler.
But the chick who plays Karen has huge knockers.
Yeah,
That's a fact. Go watch some clips from her in True Blood. Very nice.
Yeah. I didn't realize she was in that.
Oh yeah,
she's a really big D&D fan, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, it's like total role play, tabletop nerd.
That's usually unheard of among celebrities.
Yeah. John Bernthal had a great interview with her, and she was talking about what she goes through at being a dungeon master, for D&D, and then she tries to walk him through, like, okay, John, pick a class or something like that. You want to play thief? Be a knight. Which one do you want to do? And John's like, I guess I'll play along. I'll be a knight. Okay, it's like, okay. Now, are you coming from a poor upbringing, rich upbringing? And it's like, I guess poor. Okay, roll the dice, and then you decide what action you're going to do. And John's like, oh, okay, I'm getting into this. Okay, I can see why you like it. She gets really into it.
Nice.
So,
did you know that he's Kurt Angle's nephew?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You know what? I think I saw something about that a few weeks ago. That's weird. Weird connection.
John Bernthal seems like a really cool guy to hang out with.
Yeah. I've heard good things about him. People have worked with him on set, and actors and stuff have nothing but good things to say about him. So it seems like cool. He hasn't been a Compalooza. I feel like he was a Compalooza one year.
Yeah.
I know he was in San Antonio.
I feel like he might have been there. Maybe he wasn't. I don't know. I just feel like for some reason he was there.
Yeah. That, and then I did watch the second to last episode of this season for Invincible. It's definitely it's a big one. And then next week is the season finale. So have to check that out.
Season 3?
Season 3, yeah.
I've been slacking so bad. I haven't even watched the latest season of The Boys. I have really slacked on TV this year. Really? I blame College Football 25 for coming out. When that came out back in July, that took up my whole fall. I did nothing but college football. It's all its fault. And now RoboCop's out, and then WWE 2K25 comes out tomorrow, so I'm going to be playing a lot of that. So, yeah.
Got a full slate. And then lastly, I was just looking at movies that may have come to Peacock or other platforms, and I came across Nosferatu, and I was like, let's just watch this. And Bill Skarsgård, huh?
I heard it's a tit fest.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. A lot of tit. And Bill Skarsgård plays a good vampire. It's a different count. He's not Dracula, but he is a very awkward-looking vampire, just like in.
Well, yeah, because
the original Nosferatu.
Nosferatu is it's a similar but different thing than Dracula. Dracula is based on a book, where Nosferatu is based on if I remember right, it's based on the legends of Transylvania, right? Yeah.
Yes, and the movie definitely depicts it like that. It's not a romance. But there, it is a lot of similarities between that movie and Bram Stoker's Dracula, like the vampire trying to, coerce the woman, and keep the husband away. Nick Holt is in that film, and he's basically the Keanu Reeves of the film. He goes to the Count's location for business contracts, but ends up, of course, becoming kind of his slave, held there, being used to feed on, stuff like that. And then there's a lot of townsfolk killing vampires, and he witnesses one right off the bat. And they find one asleep, and they put a stake right through the heart. And he's not used to seeing that because of where he comes from. So no, it's a decent watch. I didn't find it unsatisfying to watch, but I think Bram Stoker's Dracula is just better for me. I like Gary Oldman, and even though Keanu is like, hardly does anything in that film, it's to me it's more iconic. But yeah, that was released. I'm definitely not going to watch Wicked. So it was this one.
I haven't. Well, it doesn't come out till Peacock till the 21st. I only know this because
Okay.
Well, I heard music fans like Wicked. And
I have a date with my daughter to watch it. I told her I'd sit and watch it with her when it comes out.
Oh, okay.
She wants to see it.
Okay.
So I told her we won't watch it that Friday when it comes out, but probably that Saturday night I'll sit down and watch it with her. So yeah. And
good man.
Can't
Mark.
be that. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Taking the bullet for the team.
Hey, sometimes those movies surprise you. Like I said, these live action Disney movies and stuff have been hit or miss. And I sat down and watched The Little Mermaid with her, and it was actually surprisingly very good. So sometimes I will give that live action adaptation credit. It was better than I thought it would be.
Jungle Book I liked a lot.
Jungle Book was good. I enjoyed Little Mermaid, and I enjoyed Guy Ritchie's Aladdin. I thought Aladdin was well done. So
Guy Ritchie did Aladdin.
Yeah, he did the Aladdin remake.
I didn't realize that he did Aladdin.
And Will Smith is great in it, and the girl who plays Jasmine is very beautiful and does a great job in it. And it was overall a very good adaptation. Yeah, because that was
adaptation. You mean
that was pre crazy Will Smith? Yeah.
Yes.
So, but yeah, cool, man. We're gonna go a little backwards and do a little bit of news, not much. I thought it was just funny that this Robert Pattinson, I guess, is in something that's come out this recently. He's in a film.
Yeah,
and he's been doing press for it, and he had a funny response about saying that he hopes the Batman 2 starts filming soon because he's going to become fucking old Batman. And he literally said fucking old Batman. And because he was 35 when they filmed the Batman, and he's going to be 41 if the Batman starts filming, this year sometime.
Is that how old he is?
Yeah, it's been almost 6 years in between filming.
Damn.
It is taking
10 years younger than me at least.
It is taking a long time to get this film going. So hopefully Matt Reeves gets the ball rolling soon. They start filming. I thought that was
stop beating his meat and start fucking writing that script.
Yeah. Well, apparently he's quite a perfectionist. Like even the editing, the first film. Remember the first film was delayed by a few months. It was supposed to be out like in October, November, and it got pushed back to like March. And apparently he spends a lot of time in the editing room and I guess Warner Bros. Is letting him do his thing. I heard same thing happened with War for the Planet of the Apes. Both those films, it took him a long time in the editing room of those films. So apparently he's like a editing perfectionist. So.
He's not like David Fincher where he makes his actors do 40 takes for a shot.
I haven't heard anything about that. Just more.
Oh, okay.
I think it tends to be more an editing room thing with him.
Okay.
But yeah. And then also I want to mention George Lowe, the voice of Space Ghost Coast to Coast, passed away this week at 67. I mentioned this because I met him at Compalooza a few years ago, and I don't think I had Wyatt with me. I had Michael with me, and I just want to give a shout out to him for being just a really cool guy for a few minutes. He spent a few minutes saying funny voices and talking to Michael, and he signed a couple of things for us and just was a extremely nice gentleman. You could tell he loved making kids smile, and he loved being the voice of Space Ghost. And he's not, he didn't do Space Ghost in the 60s and 70s. He was more the modern Space Ghost with Coast to Coast and the shows on Cartoon Network and all that. And but very well known in voice acting circles and just a really super duper voice actor. Just really loved his work and loved making people smile. And 67 years old, and he went on to his heavenly reward this past week. So a shout out to George Lowe for being a really cool, one of the cooler celebrities I ever met. Just really was a really nice guy. And actually sitting right here above where I'm recording is my signed picture that he did for us. So it's pretty cool. So, and saw that this week. So, but so yeah, a little bit of news there. Not much. It was kind of a slow news week, other than I guess the Avengers movies may start filming as early as this fall, which kind of blows my mind considering we're had hardly anything happen in this new phase of the MCU, and they're going to start filming Doomsday and Secret Wars, and I guess they know where they're going with it. because it feels like there's a whole lot more that needs to happen before we even get to do big event films. But whatever.
Yeah.
And they're going to film them Lord of the Rings style back to back. It's going to be like 230 days of shooting or something like that. That's
Wow.
insane. You know, so.
That's going to be pretty taxing on the actors.
Yeah. Well, you know, it'll take. Well, he said that. Well, from what they're saying, slightly back to back. It's going to be kind of like how Tom Cruise, how they did Dead Reckoning and Final Reckoning. They kind of took like 6 weeks in between. You know, they took a little time off. So yeah, it's kind of like Cameron did with the Avatar films as well. Took some time off in between them. So you got to give, you know, and then you got to give them time off. Unless you're Peter Jackson, you film all 3 Lord of the Rings films in 1 year, you know, and gave them no time off, which Viggo Mortensen has talked about. Like it was very difficult, 300 something plus days of shooting. So, yeah,
had to be rough.
And to put that in perspective, think about this. Peter Jackson has said we already have 4-hour versions of those movies, right? The extended versions. Peter Jackson has said before there's almost an hour more footage for each film that's never been seen before.
Mm-hmm.
That they may one day put out with the 50th anniversary or something like that. That's wild to think about. So yeah.
You know what's funny? I was kind of think about like that's the longest endurance marathon type shooting schedule, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I like as far as like a short shoot schedule, but it's a sprint and it's super intense. I think it's The Abyss. It's still pretty definitely high up there too. You know, as far as difficult shooting, you know.
Yeah. Well, and like some directors like Quentin Tarantino is known for shooting his movies in 25 to 30 days. He shoots very quickly. He doesn't waste time, doesn't do a lot of extra takes. He expects his actors to be ready on the first try, you know? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's why he's always had a good relationship with Miramax, because he brings his films in under budget. Quentin Tarantino quite often because he shoots quick, but he puts out fantastic films, so it works, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man. So speaking of fantastic films, this movie that we're fixing to talk about today is a Best Picture winner. So in some circles, it's considered a fantastic film, and I'll explain what that kind of backsided comment means for it in my voice in a minute. But we are talking 1971's Best Picture and Best Actor winner with the late great Gene Hackman, and that is The French Connection. And Matt summarized his film since Long did it last week.
Yeah. So it's a buddy cop film, pretty much, starring Gene Hackman, and I'm gonna have to look up his name. I just know
it's
him
not a
as
buddy cop. That's kind of like making it sound like a comedy.
Well, they're cops and they're buddies. I feel like
it's more like a procedural cop film.
Yeah, both different personalities. Roy is more of a dedicated cop. He's kind of straight line type of guy, and Gene, he's a little off kiltered, so to say.
Loose cannon.
A little bit of a loose cannon. He's a bit of a bigot, and he loves him some alcohol, and he loves him a good time right after work. Well, they intercept a heroin transfer, or a heroin shipment that has a French connection. These French bastards, they're trying to ship heroin into the country using the cars. And so they're working with the feds. There's a big chase scene. And then they eventually block off the guys and catch them before they can complete their goal. And yeah, it's a pretty straightforward cop film. Stop the drugs, the war on drugs, the drug dealers. It's got I was expecting more from the car chase scene. It is cool, has a cool car chase scene in it. And I like Gene. And this movie did break some, did overachieve, I feel like, because it was the first rated R film to be nominated for an Oscar. So that's pretty cool to have that, and the fact that it was based off of a true story. It was based off of a fiction book that was based off of a true story, and they even used the same cops from that bust in 1962 New York to train with Gene and Roy, and they even played cops in the film. So I feel like this film really tried to capture the New York police atmosphere, and feel like it does a pretty good job, doing that through the film. I do like the soundtrack. The soundtrack is, even though it's pretty 70s, it is cool, but I think Bullet had a better idea for their car chase. Doing the motor in the background versus this one, you've got that 70s music that kind of blares while Gene is driving that. I think it's a GTO is what he's driving. He confiscates from that poor soul, demolishes his friggin' car. Because a lot of people refer to this as one of the best car chase scenes, and it is unique. The rail car that he's chasing, trying to intercept, before he kills one of the guys, the sniper. But I felt like it could have been, like maybe it would have been more fantastical. He does blow a hole through the guy, like, pretty good with his snubby. I thought he was about to get shot at one point because he's trying to take on that rifle with his little snub nose revolver. But that's a pretty good point in the film. Just the cat and mouse play right there. This is all our first watches, so it's like now.
Okay. Let me come in and help you here, because you're giving yourself a lot of rope.
Yeah, y'all are giving me a lot of rope.
Okay, so what I find interesting about this movie was if you watch movies from before the 70s, you kind of notice that they're always shot in a studio setting. Like everything is kind of like in a very clean environment. And this movie is definitely helped revolutionize 70s and modern cinema afterwards, where it's all shot on location, and on top of that, it's shot documentary style, so it feels very realistic, very it's like watching an episode of Cops, but but with the soundtrack. And it's set in the 70s. I didn't like the soundtrack. I thought it was hot garbage, personally.
Dang.
It felt generic.
It wasn't generic. It tried to be different.
The times.
It's not memorable for sure, but it's to me it's very dissonant, very jarring to me. Especially the opening theme song. It's like it's just like like some kind of crash noise or whatever.
Like it's a horror film or something.
Yeah, it's like, but other than that, man, it's very gritty film, and it felt like you're just watching two cops trying to figure out, okay, where are they going to have this thing? How do we prove that something's going down? There's no Miranda rights, obviously, because it's still a new thing at that time.
Yep.
So, I mean, punching people, all that would not fly in today's,
Oh, his little informant.
Yeah.
From the beginning. All right, where do you want it?
That and the beginning chase, the run chase, the running pursuit.
Yeah, Santa.
It's like, yeah, it's like they would. That would not fly, especially they didn't read the Miranda rights. They didn't. They punched the shit out of the guy, So.
Oh yeah.
So, but yeah, it was wild and loose law enforcement back then. And what else? Oh, there's some really interesting facts about the film. The scene in the mechanic shop?
Yeah.
The police officer holding up the two French guys who were trying to pick up their car, that's a real cop. And the mechanic is not an actor either. He's an actual mechanic who's experienced in that stuff as well, tearing down the a car to find the evidence and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really interesting.
I,
What did you
one
think of that scene, Matt? The car tear down.
dude, I thought it was gonna be. I thought the heroin was going to be somewhere else, but it's like they got into like the door panel
Yeah,
down there, and I was like, oh crap, they stuffed it in there. I didn't think that they would go that route. I thought it was going to be in the tires or something. But yeah, just funny that they disassembled it, and then they're like, the guy shows up. Oh, here, it's your lucky day. Here's your car. Yeah.
and it's all nice and perfect again.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
A fact that I saw that was pretty interesting was that whenever the chemist, the scientist, tests the drugs to test its purity, that's actual heroin that they actually tested. And they're like, yeah, we're doing everything real. All our extras are cops. Our actors are gonna ride with the real cops from the story.
Yeah.
We're gonna use real heroin, not that cornstarch shit.
Yeah. When Gene Hackman went into that bar scene to tear down the bar, look for drugs.
Yeah.
He said he was really nervous filming that scene because he had to be like in that mode and he had to be pushing some people around and stuff like that. And then between the takes, one of the consultants came up to him and was like, "Don't worry, these are all cops, by the way. So you're in good hands. So don't worry about it. So yeah, they won't take it personal. Yeah, so all those black actors are actually cops. So
that is cool. That probably quelled him a little bit.
Yeah. Mark, yeah,
Mark,
said much.
yeah.
I was just letting y'all talk. First off, when I first put this film on, I was kind of like expecting different, like more of a I knew this film was a classic, and I know won Best Picture, so I was expecting more of a classic, gritty 1970s cop film. And I do get a gritty film, but I didn't expect it to have that documentary, realistic style to it.
Mm-hmm.
So once I got into that, I was like, okay, this is what I'm watching. I can see why it won Best Picture because I looked at what it went up against, and it was probably, I haven't seen all those movies, but from what I know, it probably was better than those. Hackman's very good in it. He plays a kind of an edgy, like you said, kind of almost out of control cop. And for a guy who was very uncomfortable in doing these scenes, he actually does a very good job. I think that makes it even better.
Yeah.
I overall didn't love the movie, but I didn't hate it either. I was like, okay, this is cool. I watched it. I respect it for what it did and what it did for the genre. I felt it to be a little anticlimactic. It just kind of ends, and you're like, okay, that's it. I guess maybe that's a product of being a modern moviegoer and used to having giant set pieces at the end of our films, especially in cop movies or action films, spy movies or whatever. We're used to just what we're used to. So this one was a little different and more have there is a climax.
Ended.
It just kind of ends.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, that's it. And then it has these title cards telling you what happened to some of these other characters. I'm like, well, that's interesting. But I thought the car chase was decent. I liked some of the dark humor in it. And you have to remember that this is a 1971 film, so it has a different style of of darker humor than we're used to now. Like you said, almost uncomfortable humor, because you have to remember sometimes that when these movies are made. But I thought Pai and his partner played off each other very well in the film. They were good together. But I mean, you're talking two very good actors with Schreider and Hackman.
Roy Scheider.
And so I think they did a good job. But overall, man, it's an enjoyable watch. Like I said, didn't love it, didn't hate it, but I didn't dislike it at all. I think I lean more towards the liking it side of it. I thought it was well acted. I kind of like the grittiness of it. I think I just wanted a little more oomph to it, especially at the end. I just didn't want to just end.
Yeah, apparently in the true story, they never caught the guy either.
Right.
Yeah,
I saw that.
Yeah.
And then I like the fact that the bad guys were kind of a little different in this. They're just very simple trying to smuggle their heroin. They're not like maniacal and out there with long big speeches like we're used to with like the James Bond films or Ethan Hunt and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're more just kind of like doing their thing, and well, we hope we don't get the cops catch us. Oh, we might have a little heat. We need to back up. But they're not like, there's no super big speeches. There's no bad guy speech. They're just bad guys for being bad guys. And again, it's that documentary style of filming that they do with this.
Yeah, apparently during that time, a lot of drugs were coming from Europe.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, and because poppy seeds and poppy fields are mainly central Eurasia, Afghanistan-ish in that area. So they have the plants in the old world. They have to refine it in Europe, make it turn it into a drug and then ship it to the US somehow. Yeah. But yeah, I can see why, just like Europe, that seems like a random place to be, because we're so used to coming from south of the border, all the drugs flowing through there, But yeah, at that time, Europe was one of the big drug routes too at that time, which is interesting. But I could put myself in the mindset of the audience at that time, and being a moviegoer at that time, they're used to seeing studio production type stuff, and then this is like the first time they're seeing something that's street level and watching it unfold like like a documentary. I think that's really why it won what it did. What were the other candidates? Do you know?
It was one. I just had it. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh, that's a good one.
Or wait, was it
that
One
was a
Flew?
good one.
Was it One Flew Over the? I just pulled it up. Let me pull it. I got it. I'm bringing it back.
1971 picture nominees.
Yeah, winners and nominees. Let me see. French Connection, A Clockwork Orange.
Oh, Clockwork Orange.
I knew it was a Kubrick. Fiddler on the Roof.
That's a good
The
one.
Last Picture Show, and Nicholas and Alexandra.
Okay. I've seen Fiddler on the Roof.
And Hackman, man, he went up against Peter Finch from Sunday Bloody Sunday, Walter Matthau, and George C. Scott and Chaim Topoi. So he went up against
George C. Scott's a giant of an actor.
Yeah, and Walter Matthau was pretty good too.
Yeah. Heard he was one of the worst SNL hosts ever. Early hosts. Jane Curtin said that he was one of the worst actors to host the show because they weren't taking it seriously. But yeah, they were. Yeah. I've never heard of Nicholas and Alexandria.
No, and Clockwork Orange, I think I tried to watch one time and I didn't like it.
Yeah, too nihilistic.
Yeah, just too batshit out there for me.
Yeah,
not really my thing.
Apparently, Gene Hackman was pissed because he had to do the Santa running scene and tackle 27 times, and he threatened to walk off the film, but they threatened him with legal action, so he calmed down. But I guess he was, if I have to run in this fucking suit again, I'm out of here.
It's funny because I think I've seen clips from that scene, like in movie clips and things like that, and didn't realize it was from this movie. It's kind of from what I understand, a famous scene from this movie. So. But no, it was a good watch, and it was different. Sometimes anytime you watch a movie from the 60s and 70s, you have to put your mind into that time frame and when it was made. The editing style was different, and this one definitely was different. The documentary style, they didn't have the fancy computers that we have now to edit these films, and it's amazing to think that people literally sat there and cut film together back then with tape and scissors, almost. That's how they did it.
Yeah.
just blows my mind. I mean, yeah, they had little machines that helped them do it, but for the most part, it was very hand done, And then they put the music over it, and they used to have 2 reels, one for the music, one for the movie. Then they would combine them all into one reel and send it to movie theaters.
Yeah.
And then sync it all together. It's pretty wild. But,
Until George Lucas says, "Fuck this! I can't stand this. Scan every frame. Let's do this by computer."
yeah,
He changed movie making literally.
yeah, he did.
Yeah.
And now we're digitally shipping movies straight to theaters. With digital production.
Yeah,
it's wild.
Well, this so far we're halfway through this movie adventure that all 3 of us have not seen, which is pretty cool. Nice change of pace.
Yeah. So far,
for once, Matt is also in the same boat as we are.
Yeah.
Because we're all strangers to each of the films we've always wanted to see, but never got to see it.
And so far, I'll give it a 2 for 2. I like both films enough to put them on the positive side.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the next one is going to be these next 2. I think are going to be more of a wild card. These are really we've never seen these. These are harder to find, and we have to shell out some dough to watch it. So
I thought the one we're doing this coming week was on some sort of streaming service.
I think it's on YouTube for free. Let me double check.
I'm pulling it up right. It's on Prime Video and Tubi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Tubi.
And this one sounds interesting. Well, we might as well preview next week's film. As Long said, we continue this adventure of films we've never seen before. And this time we're jumping 10 years. We're going to 1981. A film directed by Michael Mann, who, of course, is the director of Heat and one of my all-time favorite films, The Last of the Mohicans. And this movie, I had actually not even heard of this movie till you mentioned it, Long.
Mm-hmm.
But it sounds really interesting. It's got the late, great James Caan in it as he plays a person who can crack safes, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
And it's called Thief. And it's looks like a very well-reviewed film from the looks of it. And just a kind of a deep-cut Michael Mann film. It's also got Jim Belushi in it. Willie Nelson, good old Texas boy in it. So I'm kind of looking forward to this one, man. Maybe a little more so than even The French Connection, because I do like James Caan and I do like Michael Mann films. So I think it's going to be a good one to watch. And like I just mentioned, if you want to watch along with us, you can find it on Tubi and Prime Video, and that is The Thief.
It's also on YouTube Movies.
It's on YouTube as well.
Yeah,
So
for
plenty
free.
of options to watch this.
Yeah, I don't know if it's available for premium members, but it's,
So streaming Freevee, Pluto, Prime Video,
And
and
YouTube.
Tubi.
and YouTube.
And YouTube.
Yeah, so that should be a good one. All right. Well, that's next week on the show as we continue this movies we've never seen adventure. and then I think I have a fun top 5 planned for next week, which I'll to do in the middle or the third 3/4 way. This I'll tell you all here when we go off there. We're not going to spoil it for people till next week. But until then, the rebelradiopodcast.com for all your Rebel Radio needs. And as always, has been Mark.
This has been Matt.
This is Long.
Remember, just go there and do it.